Kevin, what brings you to this conference today?
So I'm involved with a lot of different think tanks and a lot of different groups that are kind of like this Franchise for Humanity. I'm really fortunate in that I get to go around to all these events. And one thing that I always notice is that I see common themes across all of these. And what I notice is that as we look to the future, really our challenges become greater as our resources get ever smaller. And one of the things that I'm most passionate about is trying to provide the tools to allow people to address those challenges going forward without just talking about the ideas, but something that will really allow us to make an impact.
And what are some of the specific challenges that you're concerned about?
Well, the challenges that we all face are things from global, climate change. We're all very aware of that, to infectious disease and pandemics, to resource utilization, to energy, and all kinds of different aspects that we're all going to be facing over the next 50 years.
So what kind of new approach do we need to deal with these issues?
Well, I met Mei-Lin Feng, the organizer of this conference, at a group called the Federal Health Futures Group. And this was a group of senior level military and government leaders in DC, and we've been meeting over the last few years. One of the things that we did in that group is we were looking forward to the year 2045 to where the world's going to be. And it was actually a very rigorous sort of way that methodology that we used. And I can tell you right now, to just summarize all of it, as you look to the future, to that time frame, 2/3 of the worlds that are possible out there aren't worlds that you want to really live in. And so one of the things that we want to look at is how can we move ourselves into a better trajectory today to really be able to address those challenges. And one common theme that really keeps coming back is that we all need to collaborate. We all need to share resources. We all need to communicate better. And in the future, it's not just a nice to have, it's a need to have.
Now, isn't the world usually divided into hostile camps? Like within each camp, people collaborate together, but they're working against all the other camps. Is that an issue that needs to be addressed?
Well, that's actually one of the really key findings about this is in the future, we are all in the same boat ultimately, and we all do need to work together. Some of these problems that I've just mentioned are really beyond any one person or agency or organization or even government's ability to address. So what I'm actually been working on is a framework to allow people to really coalesce around, share resources, and work together. And the name of that is Collaborateorg. So Collaborate.org is an online community of people that are working together to try to solve those problems. And they're empowered with all kinds of collaboration tools, geospatial data, millions of layers of information. And the idea is to really empower people to start to address some of these.
Now, do you need to get buy-in from very wealthy or very important people to really get this off the ground, or is this a grassroots thing that can work its way up?
It's a grassroots thing, but I started my career at Hewlett-Packard. David Packard had a great quote, which paraphrased was, "Never speak bad about profit. It's what allows us to do all the good that we do." And that's really the motto here is the more resources that we all can get and bring together and share, the more we can all accomplish. So part of what we're trying to do is help out that one group that's so passionate about this particular area of interest, whether it's humanitarian assistance in Darfur or infectious disease prevention or the environment or whatever, and empower that group with all kinds of collaboration tools and all the world's data and all kinds of technology, but then allow them to find another group over here that they can share resources with and be able to leverage and coordinate their actions, and 1 + 1 will equal 10.
Does this assume that most people are working toward the same goal? Because the human ego is always one of the major driving forces. People say, what's in it for me and how is it going to benefit me? Can we reconcile that with the need to work as a group to get things done that only a group can get done?
I think so. I mean, we're finding that people really do come to common consensus on a lot of these issues. There's certainly a place for competition. That's all very good. But what we're really trying to do is to foster that sort of collaboration where everybody can be doing their own independent part. That's great. But together we can bring things that are much more than the sum of the parts.
Now, how do you measure success? Like at this conference, for example, how do you know that the conference achieved its objectives?
Good question. So, my personal motivators have always been throughout my career is kind of innovation, altruism, and impact. And what I think we're all talking about at this conference is really how do we make that impact? And if I had to pick one thing I could do in the world to make a huge impact, that would be to make all those other groups in the world that are trying to make an impact much, much more effective, non-linearly, dramatically more effective. So that's really what I think we're trying to do with this conference is harness all that passion and enthusiasm that's down there, and now be able to direct it and coordinate that action toward being very effective at actually accomplishing change and making the impact that we all wish.
Is this mostly a technological problem that needs to be solved, or is it more of a human problem, getting people to change their motivations?
I'm pretty clear. I think it's a human problem that is empowered by technology, whose impact can be empowered by technology.
Because some people will say that technology poses some of the greatest dangers to humanity. Technology allows us to destroy the world itself. We couldn't do that before.
It's a powerful tool, but now what if we could use that powerful tool for good? What if we could use it to address all the challenges that we're all going to face and really make a much greater impact?
Now, what about traditional types of social organization? Does this stage we're moving into require something different from the traditional hierarchical structure? Will it be more, the organizational structure of the future, will it be more flat, or will there still be somebody at the top calling all the shots?
I really think, going back to what I mentioned before, that the problems that we all need to address are beyond any one person or agency, organization, or nation's ability to address. So I think what you are going to see is a flattening of structures. Right now, you already actually have that. You have different groups of people that are all working, trying to make an impact, but they don't know about each other yet. And they aren't able to coordinate their share resources, coordinate their actions, et cetera. So I think in the future, you're going to see a coordination of independent, autonomous groups more than hierarchical large structures, because I think the hierarchical large structures haven't really been able to make the impact that we've all needed over the last 50 years or so.
Now, even in the smaller groups, will they still be competing with each other on whose approach they should try? And do you still have that basic human issue?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the competition versus cooperation thing before. I think that honestly is really what it comes down to as we look to the future, right, at a basic level. We can all try to compete, and we can compete for resources. In the United States, it uses so much more of the resources than the rest of the world. We can all keep doing that. I'll tell you, as you look out to the year 2045, it's not sustainable. We need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to share our resources, coordinate our actions, and be more effective together. And so I think that's really the model that's going to emerge more and more. And we're seeing it really take hold even at places like this conference today.
Were you optimistic that this will turn out to be a prevailing influence? Because there seem to be a lot of other influences kind of moving in the opposite direction.
I'm idealistic, that's true. And I think that there are some competing interests too. But as I said, after you go through the rigorous analysis of where the world's headed, you really do need to work together. And I think that people will realize it is in their own best interest to work together.
Now, are you basically concerned with the overall system of working together in general, or do you have a specific project, a specific area of interest that you're primarily dedicated to?
No, I'm more trying to, again, empower those thousands of other groups that want to make an impact to be much, much more effective. So like on Collaborateorg, we've got this geospatial viewer there, and we've got 2 million layers of information behind it. All the world's sensor data, social media information, GIS data, satellite imagery. Now, you can use all of those technologies to do all kinds of things. Environmental projects, you could use it for humanitarian assistance. You could use it for lots of things that can make an impact. And so the idea is to get those groups onto that site, empowered with all those tools, all that data, and be able to be much more effective.
Okay, very good. Do you have any last minute comments you'd like to add before we stop? Assuming you're talking to a large audience here, this is your opportunity.
Collaborate, that's what it's about. We need to work together to really solve the world's problems. So check us out on collaborate.org and go forth to do great things.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.